Hi, I'm Tim Harkleroad. I'm playing banjo in my office here at work. Pretty cool to be able to play banjo at work, especially in your office. But that's where I work. I work at the Hatfield McCoy Dinner Show in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where I play banjo. I play the mayor in the show. I co-wrote the show. We have a lot of fun. And you know, one thing I enjoy is cooking. I love to cook. And we're going to cook some tonight. So let's go.
Hey, Timmy, when are you going to make us some jambalaya?
Well, I can't disappoint the girls. So tonight I'm going to make some jambalaya. Now you see I've changed clothes and I'm wearing my Paul Prudhomme hat, Chef Paul Prudhomme hat. Not only because I honor the chef, but after 2 shows of wearing a hat, my hair looks like Fido's butt. So we're going to make some jambalaya tonight here in my little kitchen in my apartment. I'm living in an apartment in Sevierville while my wife is in our house in Bristol. When I got this job, my daughter was in high school and she wanted to finish high school in Bristol. So we've been living about 110 miles apart, and I go home on my day off or she comes down here. It's difficult living away from my wife and my son and my daughter and living away from Bristol where my hometown is. It's a great little town. But I have a great job down here, and I cook right here in this kitchen. It's very small, as you can see. I've got a regular stove over here, and I've got a little bit of counter space, so we make do. And we still make some good food here, or I make some good food here. I'm making jambalaya tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about jambalaya. Jambalaya is a Louisiana dish, Cajun Creole. There are 2 different types, many varieties, but 2 different types. There's brown jambalaya, which is a Cajun dish, and red jambalaya, which is a Creole dish. Now the red indicates that they've added tomatoes and or tomato paste to it to give it a tomatoey flavor and red color. I prefer the brown jambalaya. I add a little bit of diced tomatoes and peppers just for the flavor, but it doesn't make it tomatoey. Now some of the Cajuns might not like that, but I like it in there. Today we're making chicken and sausage jambalaya. I learned to make jambalaya from Emil Stiefel, who's the jambalaya king. Now, I've never had any formal training, but I always wanted to make a good jambalaya because Cajun food is my favorite. I grew up watching Justin Wilson on television, and eventually I worked out of New Orleans for about 12 years, and I love Cajun and Creole food. The Cajun is my favorite. Emil Stiefel is the jambalaya king of Louisiana and probably several other states because he is the best. He beat Bobby Flay on Throwdown in the Jambalaya Challenge, and Bobby knows his way around a kitchen, but Emil Stiefel is the man. After the show, I found Emil's phone number and I called him, and we met in New Orleans and spent the day together just talking about food. We went and had lunch, and he's a great guy. He's a wonderful chef and caterer, and he does make the best jambalaya. So he gave me some tips on making jambalaya, and that's what we're going to make tonight, is my jambalaya. And we're going to start off, we're going to make it in this pot right here. This is a cast iron Dutch oven. This is 7 quarts, and we make quite a bit, we fill quite a bit of it up. And I'm going to start off, I'm going to spray the pot just a little bit with some cooking spray to keep things from sticking. As you know, cast iron, if it's well seasoned, things don't stick. But occasionally when you're cooking rice, it gets a little sticky around cleanup time. Alright, so we're going to take our cast iron Dutch oven, and I'm going to turn it up fairly hot, around between 6 and 7. I'm using an electric stove. I prefer a gas stove, but this is what I have here, and this is what I deal with. We're going to take about a half stick of butter, and we'll put it in there. And while that's melting, I'm going to chop up an onion. Now, I'm not a chef. I don't profess to be. I don't have the greatest knife skills in the world. I've never trained, so but I managed to get by. I'm using a Santoku. It's a Japanese knife. It's got these little louvers on it. Sometimes I'll use a chef's knife, and sometimes I'll use the Santoku. The key, I know, to knife skills is having a good sharp knife. You'll cut yourself, they say, a lot quicker on a dull knife than you will a sharp knife. So I'm going to gather this up, and I'm going to put these in my stock pot that I have bubbling over here. Oh, after I peel the sticker off of it. And we're going to drop those onions right in there. And we'll start with this half of the onion. And now, these knives could use sharpening. I've got a place I take my knives, and they'll sharpen your knife for $1. And you come out, and he proves to you how sharp it is by slicing a piece of newspaper with the knife. Now, the Santoku has these little louvers in it, which supposedly causes the vegetables to fall off of it, but we'll see how well that works, won't we? I'll finish chopping up this onion, and we're going to work on our other side here. I'm going to put one good size onion in there, and we've got celery we're going to put in it. Like I said, this is a chicken and sausage, smoked sausage jambalaya. Normally I would use andouille sausage, but I can't get good andouille sausage here in Tennessee. The best andouille sausage comes from La Place, Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans. Well, our butter's starting to melt. That's good. We're about ready with onion. I'm going to stir that around just a little bit. I'm going to finish with this half of the onion. La Place, Louisiana, they've got a place called Jacob's that makes wonderful smoked meats, including andouille sausage, which is a smoked Cajun sausage. It's a pork sausage, and they smoke it almost dark black. Also, remember when you're peeling or when you're dicing onions, you keep your fingers curled back, keep from cutting the tip of your finger off. I'm real bad about that. I was making something once down at the theater where I work, which, by the way, I don't work in the food part of it. It's a dinner show, but I work in the show part and not the dinner part. So I was in there, a chef was giving me a hard time about not drawing my fingers back. Alright, we've got our butter sizzling over here, and we're going to put this onion into the butter and let it caramelize a little bit. Caramelize, the onions have sugar in them, and caramelization. I'm going to take that little piece out. That's a little hard knot that I don't want to use. And we're going to let them cook around a little bit. So right now we're going to chop up the celery and drop it in there along with the onion after the onion has cooked a little bit. Yeah. We want about a cup or so of celery. I'm going to take these big pieces and tear them down a little bit, and give our celery a little chop here. Okay, these little fellers here. This is when it's hard not to draw your fingers back when you get down to the end, and then you can just give it a little rough chop like that. I don't want to put this celery in yet because it's full of water, and I want the onions to caramelize a little bit more before I put the celery in. So I'm going to go over here and check on my onions. Alright, we're going to work on some garlic now. I love garlic, and you can't get too much in it for me, but I have to control myself sometimes. So we're going to start out busting up this head of garlic, and I'm going to get some of these big chunks around here on the outside. I'm going to use 4 or 5. Let's see, about half of that, I guess. Alright, I'm going to bust these up. A buddy of mine used to say, let's bust that up. I'm going to bust you up. Now, when you bust them up like that, that little papery skin just comes right off it. And it falls right out, all the meat. So the garlic comes right out. And it's ready for us to do some chopping. That also, smacking it like that also releases a lot of the juices in the garlic. And before I do this, I'm going to check on my onions, see how they're doing. Oh, they're doing fine. They're doing fine. Okay. Starting to brown just a little bit, so I'm going to turn them down just a little bit because I'm busy. It's easy to get caught up and forget what you're doing. Cut them little knobs off the end there. Okay. Now, I'm going to mash these just a little bit more. And this one. I'm going to do some chopping. Okay. Now, this is where I'm sadly underwhelming with my knife skills, stuff like this, but just so it gets done. And this is going to cook a long time, so if you do get a big chunk of garlic, the more you cook garlic, the milder it becomes. Take some of the edge off of it by cooking it. There's a little thing we don't need. Okay. And I'm going to take that little knob out. I'm just going to scoop all this up. And take it over. Put it in with the onions. I'm going to stir this in. Oh, that's looking good already. Smells good in here too. Also, at this point in time, I'm going to turn my oven on. I'm going to turn it down to about 300 because after I put the jambalaya together, we're going to stick it in the oven and let that rice soak up all that good stock. So right now, let's chop up our smoked sausage. All right, this is our smoked sausage. I'm using a fairly commercial brand of smoked sausage, and I'm doing a little. I'm not actually cutting on the bias, as they say. I'm doing little triangular chunks, sort of, and people like to get a nice chunk of sausage rather than just a thin slice like you would slice pepperoni. Put this over here, and we're going to cut up some more. Had a little water in it. That doesn't hurt anything. Because I like a lot of smoked sausage. Sometimes I put ham in my jambalaya. A lot of Creole jambalayas will have ham or shrimp. I've even seen them put one of the best jambalayas I've ever eaten was a smoked rabbit jambalaya from a place called Coop's down in New Orleans. Oh man alive, it was awesome. I've never eaten a lot of rabbit in my life. Dad used to fix it every once in a while. You get one, he would just fry it like you'd fry chicken, and it's tasty. But that smoked rabbit jambalaya, son, let me tell you, it was wonderful. It's one of my favorite jambalayas ever, and I've had it several times down there, and they've also got some of the best fried chicken at Coops. It's down on Decatur Street. I spent a lot of time in New Orleans. Some of my favorite chefs are in New Orleans. Chef Donald Link is my favorite. I've eaten several times at his restaurants, Cochon and Butcher, and I've even met the chef. Super nice guy, and I've got his book for Christmas, and he autographed it for me. And I really appreciate that when people take time to talk with you. And we didn't talk any sort of cooking secrets, but we did have a nice little chat about food when I was working on the cruise ships out of New Orleans. All right, next we're going to put our celery in there. We're going to let our celery cook around a little bit. I'm using a little silicone spatula that I love. I especially like using it when I make a roux, which we're not making the roux today. We might make gumbo soon, though. It's great for getting down that corner right there and stirring everything around, and it's easy to clean. It doesn't transmit bacteria like you sometimes get with wooden spoons or bad taste or whatever. A lot of people, all they use is a wooden spoon, but I like that little spatula there. I'm using baked chicken. I baked the chicken, and I dejointed it, or discombobulated it into, I removed the meat from the bones, basically. I deboned it, and took the skin and the bones and the carcass and all that. And I've got it in that stock pot over there boiling away to make some stock. So right now, we're going to chop it up. Now this brown stuff you see here, that's the stock and stuff that came off the chicken. And man, that imparts a good flavor too. We're just doing a rough chop on this. We don't want to make it too small. Now, you're asking, why do I use baked chicken? Well, I like the flavor of baked chicken. It does better. I like the texture of it better than I've made jambalaya with this skinned, deboned chicken, cutting it in little pieces and then stir frying it. But I like the texture of this. Plus, I make these chickens with spices, and they have a wonderful flavor. And then I take the meat off the bones. I boil in bones, and as some of you might know, when you make a stock, you do better if you bake the bones a while, and it really brings out the flavor. Now I need to move those little knots of smoked sausage. Now, if you're concerned about cross-contamination, that chicken is cooked, and everything is cooked here. But of course, we're going to wash the mat after we dump the chicken in. So we're going to take the chicken over to the big pot, dump it in, and we're going to get all that good gelatiny goodness in there. That's a little bit of collagen, chicken fat. You know, in Spain, chicken fat is used like a butter. You even go in some restaurants and they will give you a little dish of chicken fat and some beautiful bread, and you can spread the chicken fat on the bread like butter. We're going to put our smoked sausage in there too. Alright? And now we're just going to stir this around and let it come up to temperature. Our chicken was, after I deboned it, I kept it refrigerated, and it is fully cooked. As you can see, I've got both dark meat and white meat in there. I grew up eating white meat chicken, and I've in my later years developed a taste for dark meat. I still prefer white meat, But this is going to be wonderful right here. And our celery's going to leach out a little liquid, a little water, because it's mostly water, mainly water. And we're going to start looking at adding our spices to this. So let's check on our spices. All right, for our spices on this, we're going to start out with a little Cajun seasoning from an unnamed green box. Zoom in on the box. Now we're going to put a little bit of this Cajun seasoning in. It's my favorite. You can use any Cajun seasoning, and that's about a tablespoon that we're putting in there. And we're going to put a little salt in there. We'll go easy because I tend to overdo sometimes on the salt. We'll put a teaspoon of salt. Remember, your smoked sausage is salted, as well as I had use a little salt on the chicken. We're going to get our pepper and come over to the spice basket. I like this coarse ground pepper better than the dusty type. And I think I'm going to put a teaspoon of pepper in there. You know what? I might put just a little bit more. Stop now just a little bit. Oh, next we're going to get some Worcestershire sauce. We're going to need some Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to take that over to the pot. And we'll use some Louisiana hot sauce. This is, I don't know if this is a Tabasco pepper or a red pepper. It doesn't say. There are cayenne peppers and red peppers. But I'm just going to kind of eyeball this and sprinkle a little bit around. Okay. Now, you can stay over here. Hang on just a second. Don't go anywhere. Stir this in. And it's starting to warm up a little bit. And it's looking good. We'll turn it up just a little bit because I want it cooking a little bit hotter. By this time, everything in here is cooked. I mean, the sausage was cooked to start with, chicken was cooked, and now our celery is starting to soften a little bit. Onions have about disappeared. You can put more onion in it if you like. You can adjust this however you want, but this is how I like it. I would say that's about 1.5 pounds of chicken, maybe 2. I think it's about a 2.5 pound chicken. I don't know how much bone accounts for it, or skin, but let's turn that up just a little bit and let that go. We're going to have some cayenne pepper in here. I like spices in glass jars because they last longer. Spices lose their kick sometimes in plastic jars. I ain't using too much because I'm going to burn people up. Next here I've got some smoked paprika. This is one of my favorite spices. Okay, I'll let you smell it. Isn't that nice and smoky? I bought this. This is hard to find. The good stuff's hard to find. I went to one place, got some smoked paprika, and it was just paprika. It didn't have any smoky flavor at all, and she made some sort of comment. Maybe I wasn't getting the proper. That smoked paprika doesn't smell smoky. I don't know, but I like it to smell smoky. This came from a very reputable little boutique in Charleston, South Carolina called Spice and Tea. And this is a mixture of sweet and hot paprika. And that's going to add a great flavor to this jambalaya. So let's stir our spices in. Man, this smells good. You just only be here. Well, if everybody was here and we didn't have room to cook, because this is a small place. Alright, our chicken's breaking up a little bit, which is fine. It's okay if it breaks up a little bit. You're not going to worry about it. Alright, we're going to use a little diced tomatoes and onions. You might know it as Rotel. I use the store brand. This ain't going to make it real tomatoey. This is going to give it a wonderful flavor. And you're going to get little bits of tomato here and there. Because them Cajun, they might not put no Rotel in there, put the tomatoes in there, but I like a little bit in there. And again, it doesn't make it red, doesn't make it tomatoey. Just gives it a nice little flavor. And I started putting that in here about the last year whenever I make it, and I seem to like it. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you, this handsome fellow right here in the background, if you don't recognize him, is Harry Houdini, the greatest escape artist of all time and magician. He's a big inspiration to me. I started out as a magician when I was about 12, and I've got a bunch of old magic posters. This is not an original photo, but that's the man right there, and I keep him in my kitchen. This is our stock we've been working on, and it's got the bones and skin and the onion skins and celery ends that are going to go in this strainer, and we're going to strain the stock into a bowl, and we're going to add it to our jambalaya. I'm trying to do this without losing any of the stock. We need about 5 cups of stock. I started with 6 cups of water. You lose a little bit when it boils off, and that looks about right. I also put some garlic chips in there, dehydrated garlic and onions, just because I like garlic, but you know that. Okay, this is our stock. We're going to measure out, figure out how to do this. We're going to measure out 5 cups of it, and I'm going to use this old I broke the handle off this a little while ago. There's 2 cups. Take it over, add it into our jambalaya. And we'll come back and see how much we got. If we're a little short, we can just add some water. Okay, we've got 2 more cups. So our 6 cups of water, about 2 cups escape, so we have 4 cups of stock. So I'm going to add a cup of water, and I'm going to get it right out of the tap. Don't worry, we have good water here in Harkleroad, because we're in the mountains. And just going to finish that off stock-wise. And we're going to set our stock pot out of the way, and we're going to get some green onions chopped up. Okay, we're going to cut these little fuzzy fellers off the end here, give them a crew cut. Our green onions, or scallions as some people call them. These really impart a good flavor, but I like them to show up more, so I'll put them a little later in the process. Now we're going to go through the white part. In Cajun they call these green onion tops. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a little trick here. That was not cutting too well. I either need a sharper knife or duller onions, I guess. We're going to cut these green tops on the bias, or as Chef John Folse would say, the bias, like June bias. Alright. I'm using a paper plate. I use a lot of paper plates. I just grabbed this because my little cutting board was dirty, and I don't want to have to dirty a bunch of more stuff, so I use paper plates and they work great. They're great to cut on. And I'm getting real sloppy about my knife skills on this, but now I'm going to save some of these green colors over here. I'm going to separate them a little bit. And I'm going to put the white end in the stock in the jambalaya right now. And I'm going to save these green ones for after the rice is cooked before we put it in the oven. And then we'll dump them in there. You can even save some from a garnish, as a garnish if you'd like. So these go in the pool. Everybody in the pool. We'll put a little bit of these in there. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now we've had our stock in there, and it's bubbling like a big old cauldron. This big old cast iron. Look over there. Ain't that pretty? It's boiling right now, and see that little red around the top? That's the paprika. Now we're going to add our rice. Now some people put the rice in before they put their stock in. But I don't do that because I like the stock to get all those flavors running around. And we're going to use just plain old long grain white rice. We're going to put in about 2.5 cups because we've got about 5 cups of liquid in there. Actually, I was looking after we put our tomatoes in and our celery leached out a little liquid. We got about 6 cups of liquid, so I'm going to put almost 3 cups of rice. Sort of 2 to 1. There's 1. And we're going to stir them in just a minute. Don't worry. It ain't going to stick. And we'll put about 3/4 of a cup. Okay. Now, I'm going to stir all this in. That rice is going to start soaking up that stock, and we'll put the lid on now. But get that old rice mixed in there, and you mix it well so it don't clump and ball up on you. Not up on you. All right. Well, put the lid on there. Like that. We're going to turn it down just a little bit, about medium low, and let that cook. And we're going to check it every once in a while, see how our rice is getting along. It'll start fluffing up. When it gets about done, we're going to stick that bad boy in the oven and let it finish off and get all good and puffy. We're about done with this jambalaya, but we're going to put it in the oven. We still got some juices running, so we're ready to put this into the oven. Now first, I am going to toss my green onions in there. I'm going to put them all in there because I ain't going to worry about garnishing, because we're just going to have some friends and eat this. So we'll stir green onions in there. Get all our little rice bits off the side of the pot. That's why I like this particular spatula. And we're going to pop this in our oven. We got about 300 putting this in. I'm going to let it go for about 15 minutes. Turn that eye off. I don't set myself ablaze. For about 15 minutes. I'm going to check it, and it should be done. Alright, it's beeping. Let's see if it's done. Ooh, there she sits. Ooh, looky there. That is pretty jambalaya, you gotta admit. It's done. Here's our jambalaya. Look at there. Isn't that pretty? We're over here at Kyle and Kayla's house. I'm going to load Kayla up with some jambalaya first. There you go, sweetheart. Alright, here's Kyle trying the jambalaya. How is it, son?
It's great stuff.
Alright, we're going to sign off. Thanks a lot.